everyone. I'm going to read to you today from a book. Well, it's actually a series of books. I'm going to read a short extract. The book itself is called The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell. It's written by a man called Chris Colfer. But actually, at the time when he wrote the series of books, he was not much older than a teenager, really. He was in his 20s, and he was a very successful actor in America in a hit show at the time called Glee. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that. It was probably a little bit before your time, probably before a lot of you were even born, but it is still doing the round, so some of you may have heard of it. The books themselves are brilliant, and I've only just discovered them. They follow the lives of twins, Alex and Connor Bailey, and they basically, the two twins fall from modern day life, and they fall from the real world into a world of fairy tales, and they get to meet some of the most iconic characters that we've all grown up hearing about and meeting in our lives, haven't we? So people such as Snow White and Cinderella. So in the first instance, you kind of hear those things and think, oh, that sounds a bit babyish, but actually the way it is written, it's a little bit dark in places. I would say the books are recommended for year 4 at the earliest, probably year 5 and 6. But years 4, 5 and 6, they're quite beefy as reads go, but they are absolutely brilliant. I can't believe I've only just discovered them. So the first one was released in 2012. Book 6 was released in 2017, and there's talk of them creating them into movies in the not too distant future too. So I'm going to read a little bit from the first book, which is The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell. The final book is called The Worlds Collide. That's book 6, but they're brilliant. They're written really well, and they're really exciting. I would describe them as adventure and fantasy stories. So if you're into that kind of thing, they'll be up your street. So no spoilers. I'm going to read from book 1, right from the beginning, the prologue. The Queen's Visit. The dungeon was a miserable place. Light flickered from torches bolted to the stone walls. Foul-smelling water dripped inside from the moat circling the palace above. Large rats chased each other across the floor, searching for food. This was no place for a queen. It was just past midnight, and all was quiet except for the occasional rustle of a chain. Through the heavy silence, a single set of footsteps echoed throughout the halls as someone climbed down the spiral steps into the dungeon. A young woman emerged down the steps dressed head to toe in a long emerald cloak. She cautiously made her way past the row of cells, sparking the interest of the prisoners inside. With every step she took, her pace became slower and slower, yet her heart beat faster and faster. The prisoners were arranged according to their crime. The deeper she walked into the dungeon, the crueler and more dangerous the criminals became. Her sights were set on the cell at the very end of the hall, where a prisoner of special interest was being watched by a large private guard. The woman had come to ask one question. It was a simple question, but it consumed her thoughts every day, kept her lying awake most nights, and was the only thing she dreamed about with the little sleep she managed. Only one person could give her the answer she needed, and that person was on the other side of the prison bars ahead. I wish to see her, the cloak woman asked the guard. No one is allowed to see her, the guard said, almost amused by the request. I'm on the strict orders from the royal family. The woman lowered her head and revealed her face. Her skin was as pale as snow. Her hair was as dark as coal, and her eyes were as green as a forest. Her beauty was known throughout the land, and her story was known even beyond that. Your Majesty, please forgive me, the stunned guard apologized. He quickly bent into an overly pronounced bow. I wasn't expecting anyone from the palace. No apology necessary, she said, but please do not speak of my presence here tonight. Of course, the guard said, nodding. The woman raised the bars, waiting for them to be raised higher, but the guard hesitated. "Are you sure you want to go in there, Your Highness?" the guard said. "There's no telling what she's capable of." "I must see her," the woman said, "at any cost." The guard began turning a large circular lever, and the bars of the cell rose. The woman took a deep breath and continued past them. She journeyed through a longer, dark hallway where a series of bars and barriers were raised, then lowered after she walked past them, and finally she reached the end of the hall. The last set of bars was raised, and she stepped into the cell. The prisoner was a woman. She sat on a stool in the centre of the cell and stared up at a small window. The prisoner waited for a few moments before acknowledging the visitor behind her. It was the first visitor she had ever had, and she knew who it was without even looking. There was only one person it could be. "Hello, Snow White," the prisoner said softly. "Hello, stepmother," Snow White replied with a nervous quiver. "I hope you are well." It's brilliant. Please read them. They're really, really great.